first question that we can get out of the way is, uh, who are you? Introduce yourself, and I'll be right back.
Hello, I am Cobra Commander Commentaries, or as the SCC remembers me, the Conundrum. I was one of Doodletones' worst commentaries, second place in 2016. I was a target of Susie dozens of times, a former Alt CC member, back when the Alt CC was just dunking on Doodletones in the past. And I defected from the alt back then because they weren't doing anything. I believe in you can do your own commentaries without scripting and hive mind mentality. But the alt at the time, they had a good message, but they were going about it the wrong way. And I became a part of the skeptic community and the gamer community. And I came back to the commentary community, and all I see now is hypocrisy, hypocrisy, and more hypocrisy. And don't mind me, I'm having a delicious dinner actually.
So the
But
next question is, speaking of which, what is the alt CC?
simply put it, back when Doodletones did her video on Medicare, and Medicare gave Doodle pushback, we've seen a couple group of people looked at how the commentary community all make Doodletones look like a patron saint. So we became a counterculture to Doodletones because we were sick and tired of Doodletones being a total and complete hypocrite, and the fact that nobody dared go against Doodletones back in the day. But the alt CC contained Nicolism, who was formerly known as Dark Scythe, Mr. Inferno, Immature God at the time. I don't know their new names now because they're trans. Dylan Thomas. Oh God, don't talk about that person. He's a freaking train wreck. Chambers of my heart at one time before the alt kicked her out for doing something stupid. DiCaprio DeLorean, Jesus with Bazooka, and Mr. Conman, myself, and my fiance at the time, Delirium. And what we did was we brought the fact that the SCC is very hypocritical. Doodle could dish out criticism but couldn't take it. And it just, the whole thing with the alt CC, the SCC tried to call us the salt CC and all that stuff. And it just evolved because, the other person was just a robot who actually sold out and became part of the commentary community.
Can you elaborate on that?
Basically, it was always infighting between Jar, but of us keep on constantly calling Doodletones, Doodle diapers and stuff. It was just us trolling Doodletones at this point because it was so funny. It caused her to rage quit a stream once. We presented solid facts about the commentary community, but in the end of the game, we all got shot down.
All right. One other question. What kind of content do you normally make?
I used to make this stream called The Order to 66, where I would give my take onto something, and I come off like a radio shock jock, like old school Howard Stern before Howard Stern became woke, and based a lot off of Opie and Anthony. And I used to do gameplay videos where I will add my 2 cents in there. And it just, over time, people tell me what to do and not to do, don't cross this line, and I felt like you're telling me what to do on my channel. Nobody tells me what to do on my channel but myself. And it just, a lot of people turned their backs on me because they view that now that type of humor, the shock jock humor, isn't allowed anymore. Like, I used to do these streams called burial streams where I will do it my my whole spiel about the video, give my take on it, and if it's so bad, I'll proceed with a burial of how I view you and how you do commentary.
Can you elaborate more on this whole burial stream?
For example, when I did a burial stream on Humane Mind back in the day, he was part of the political community, skeptic community. I basically said, the way you come off is so pretentious, you talk down to people. No wonder why your mother and father never loved you. If I was your parent, I would have smacked you a couple times. You talk like you're a pseudo intellectual, and you think you know how the world works. Please, you don't know how the world works. Nobody knows how the world works. And if you don't like that saying, then you can always call my complaint line at 1-800-EAT-A-DICK and see my secretary, Helen Waite. The way you talk down to people thinking you're morally superior, you must have a huge inferiority complex. Or the reason why women don't date you is because you're not, because we all know if you're probably overcompensating. Something like that, I'll go with a burial. But now doing that stuff will label you a heretic.
Okay. So, do you have any regrets when it comes to that sort of content?
In regards to regrets, I do have some regrets.
Can you elaborate?
Sorry, I was eating something. But the regrets I had was this one burial stream that caused me to get kicked out of one of my gaming stores I play Magic the Gathering in, because the burial was so brutally bad. It caused me to get a ban from a card shop. And the thing is, that card shop's now gone, closed down. I really didn't care at the time, but I looked at myself. A lot had changed, I think, when my father died, because I started reflecting on a lot of stuff, seeing that what's the point of things if sooner or later it's going to end up being nothing when you die. So I just lay dormant for a while, and seeing how the SEC and the Senate now is, how the Senate is, it's perfectly clear that I view that, I hate the suppression of someone's independent thoughts and free speech. Not everybody's going to follow what you're going to say lockstep.
You don't like
And
sorry. So you don't like how they're
sorry.
The suppression of their thoughts and their feelings. You don't like how they're forcing people to stick to a certain way. Is there a particular attitude that you do not like? And if so, can you elaborate?
I was always about this. There's three sides to every story. One side, the other side, and the right side. And if you're only putting out one side of the story, not hearing the other side, you're basically spinning a narrative and creating bias. I try to come into things unbiased on situations, or more of a contrarian standpoint, because I always believe in that. Like some of these things, like this whole thing with them always trying to pin somebody as some deviant or something, I just say no. No, because you're basically trying to ruin someone's life based on your proclamations and stuff, where it cannot be the case. We had cases like Zaptai, what's that other guy? Slazzo. Hell, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That's a perfect example of this stuff being that it can be made up, be falsified. And I don't believe in this whole thing of dragging somebody in the call so you can make money off of it because you're only profiting off of someone's suffering. And but that's my opinion on things, and basically I'm branded as a heretic.
So, this situation with Doodle Tone, right? What is your relation to her? How do you know who she is, or what is your past with this person? What caused you to make this comment that seems to be stirring up such a fervor recently?
My history of Doodle Tones is this. I used to look up to her. I used to follow her. She was the reason why I got into commentary in the first place. She did a commentary on one of my videos. That was horrible. The Dan Mad 2971, which is horrible, okay? It was so bad that I made it to Doodle Tone's worst commentaries of 2016 in second place. Let's go for first place for 2024, everybody. And the thing is, Doodle even said in her final thoughts, I was this appalling person that he shouldn't do commentaries. And I saw some videos where they compared me to a person named Joshua Colbyhouse in the past. And I did another commentary where on the Atheist Gamer, and Doodle and Master TP10 ripped that apart. And because I left a comment on how I view Nihilistic Snake, I get ripped apart for that. And the thing is, really pissed me off was that's one of the reasons why I went to the alt CC, because I felt like you're telling me to script things. You can't script emotions because it comes off faked and forced. I like doing things cut and dry, give my take on the opinion, and just move on.
I agree that there is definitely a time and place where you should script and you should study for a video. But I also have to agree that there is also a place for people who do give their honest first opinions, their honest first reactions to a thing without more context, because it gives you a more honest outlook on the situation. So what you're saying is that they're trying to disregard your content as being less genuine or less appealing to them because you are giving your honest first reactions? Is that what I'm hearing?
I give my honest reactions, and basically I also go with my own life experiences and the experiences that I was brought up with to put in a view of the common man perspective. Because a lot of this stuff, like, I take on the part of being the person who's also the person given the take on it, but also the voice of the common man. And yeah, not the common man's not going to agree with everything you're going to say, because they're just looking at the video, and there's going to be mostly people who are just going to blindly follow. Sometimes you have to be that voice of opposition to bring some form a nuance to a situation to find out what's really happening, what's going on, and how does this affect everything.
So you find yourself and your videos that you make to be the common man's reaction to whatever you are paying attention to. Is that correct? To a particular situation.
Most likely, yes, because with Gilded Poo, I see how disingenuous Ephraim can be sometimes. I know how disingenuous he can be. And I left a comment, and I get charged with the crime of wrong thing. Because I'll be honest, the SEC was a hive mind back then, and now it's more of a hive mind now.
Can you elaborate on what this role think is?
Wrong think?
Yes.
Because I commented on Gilded Poo's thing, and I said something like, you know, Ephraim's such a loser. His book is the only good thing about his book is for toilet paper. And if I do recall, didn't Ephraim in the past get dunked on by the drunken peasants and War Corp 666, now Lord of Patriarchy? And I said, Gilded Poo responded, and I gave my honest take. Like, not 100% sure that Ephraim was on EP because this is something that when TJ was on Drunken Peasants, The Amazing Atheist. So that's like years ago. And I said, I'm not 100% sure. I would look on the Drunk DP wiki. And after I left that comment, I get a ping from Doodle Tones saying I broke my promise. I'm getting involved in stuff over what? A YouTube comment? It's utterly redunculous, in my opinion. And Doodle wanted me to go to Senate, face Lyle Convoy. I'm like, no, I'm not going into Senate. I've seen what happens in Senate because of the Rosa Ray Ramsey incident, and I'm not going to go in there and be called a whore and a slut in front of everybody just for Lyle's amusement to get super chats because he spent all his money on Miku toys for Hatsune Miku month. I'm sorry. I'm not lining your pockets with nothing but a coordinated dog pile from a person who could not face me in a 2-on-2 call where we could have talked about it, and I was willing to have the call recorded.
I agree that seems to be an issue within this community, that a lot of people aren't willing to sit down in a neutral setting and set aside whatever beef they have in a calm and reasonable fashion. However, at the same time, my question was, what is wrongthink? Can you define it for us in your own words?
Basically, wrongthink is basically going against the current status quo in the SEC. Like, for instance, you would be charged with wrongthink if you offend somebody who's is getting basically screwed over, and you would be they'll just bandwagon you. They'll make commentaries on commentaries about you just because you have a different opinion on the topic. I could give a perfect example. I'll use this as a hypothetical example. let's say a Doodle did a commentary on a Yugi tuber, and the Yugi tuber said this card has cost this much, such and such, and Doodle makes the thing, no, it doesn't. You're lying. You're lying. It doesn't. Then you look it up and you say, no, Doodle, you're in the wrong because it's stated on TCG Player that card costs that much money. The minute that happens, you would be dogpiled for that because that's how they think. You dare to go against Doodle Tones, so you are to be put in the stocks and have vegetables thrown at you. That's how they are.
All right. So we've established your relation to doodle tones, correct?
Yeah, but basically, I was one of the worst commentaries of 2016. Second place, baby.
So why do you think this comment is so divisive?
I don't think it is divisive, in my opinion. I think it's divisive in their eyes because they said I gave Pooh, Gilded Pooh ammo.
Why do you think, I hate to say, why do you think they think that way, but why,
Because
what is in your own thoughts, your own opinion, why do you think they're so upset about this?
I brought up some things Ephraim did in the political scene, and I don't agree with Ephraim's political takes. This is a guy who wanted the legalization of free drugs.
All right. So do you think it's because they wish to defend Ephraim?
Of
Or
course they want to defend Ephraim. Ephraim's one of their own. And the thing is, it it's the whole thing on the Kumo situation, and my comment wasn't about Kumo in particular. It was basically on Ephraim and how he used to get dunked on by big time political streamers in the skeptic community like Warcorp 666. And the drunken peasant thing, yes, I was wrong on that. I concede on that point. As I said, I'll even have to look it up on the DP wiki, and he never appeared on the DP wiki.
okay. What do you hope um what do you hope to achieve with this comment when you made it?
I was just saying how Ephraim can be wrong on things and how he gets dunked on because the way Gilded Pooh was handling Ephraim, it reminded me a lot of War Corpse, how he used to handle Ephraim. Because Ephraim can be annoying as fuck sometimes. And I'm sorry for saying fuck, but if it walks like a duck, acts like a duck, it is a duck. And I'm afraid that, yes, I view Ephraim politics are ridiculous. Because the thing is, me and him don't agree on things politically. Doesn't mean I hate the person. I don't wish ill on him. Sometimes I agree to disagree with Ephraim. And if people think I was giving ammo, it wasn't. I was just bringing up Ephraim's old channel because it's public knowledge. Even Gilded Pooh says, "Oh, I know of the other channel." Yes, if it's public knowledge, I didn't give ammo. Who already know about it?
So do you have high hopes Doodles will take this comment with a bit of criticism and will learn? Or if not, why?
Repeat the question again. I'm sorry.
Despite all of this, do you think that your comment and the criticisms you gave Doodles, do you think that she will take it and learn off of the criticism? Or if not, why do you think she'll refuse to learn?
I think she won't learn because basically, in my opinion, Doodle has to be in the right so much because now she's like the big figure of the commentary community, and if Doodle admits that they're wrong, it's gonna turn everyone against her. My thing is, it was just a comment, and everybody gets bent out of shape over a comment on a freaking video on the freaking internet. Like, it's not gonna cause Ephraim serious harm. Will it call down? It's like they think that saying a comment on someone's video, something normal that people do in a YouTube video is comment, is like the committed freaking genocide.
Okay. Um, can you explain in your own words? I know we've gone through it briefly about, I know I've mentioned the comment and so on and so forth, but in your own words, what is the situation currently?
Well, Doodle said that I got involved, I broke my promise, and I was to face Lio in Senate. I said I'm not going in that call because I have a right to refuse the call. And I'm not going in there to get yelled at by some 38-year-old toy collector.
I know you have, and I agree that you have the right to decline any call or any threats to yourself and any demands that they may make for you to sit in a call. It is within your own right to say no. They are not entitled to your time, nor your attention, nor your content. If they do not like you, they can simply leave. I know that you stated you've made a promise to Doodles. What was this promise? Can you elaborate?
If I got involved in something, I would be dragged into Senate.
When you said involved in something, what, when they say something, when you say something, what in
When I
particular are you talking about?
if I get involved in something that they're doing, I will be dragged into Senate and will be put to task.
So what you're saying is that the Senate has a gag order on you. You are not allowed to comment nor commentate on things that are happening currently.
Yep. But the
So
thing is, I look at it this way. I only commented on something. It's like it's freedom of speech. Trying to suppress my freedom of speech.
so you feel that they are attempting to suppress your thoughts and your ability and your right, because let's be honest, it's a right, to speak on things that you come across with your own thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
They do not wish for you to do that. Is this correct?
Yeah. Yes. They want me to be. They want me to be silent.
They want you to do the unrealistic thing and just disappear. No longer make content or anything. Is that correct?
No, they did not say that I am to be ran off. They just say if I'm going to be in this community, I should shut the fuck up if I know what's good for me.
So basically, they are denying you the ability to make content, is essentially what I'm hearing.
Basically, yes, in a sense. I could agree to that because that's how I feel. That's how I also comes off as they're telling me what to do. And one thing Susie knew about me is don't tell me what to do. You ain't my mom, you're not my brain.
All right. Here's a really good question. And since you are a part of the commentary community, I am not. I am in no means a commentator. I do not wish to be a commentator. Despite giving my thoughts here and there, I am definitely not a commentator. Um, is the forgive me, is the commentary community dying? Is commentary as content itself, or a means of creating content itself, dying, or do you think it's going through a period of changing for the better?
Personally, I feel like it's something that Medicare said, and it's just a shambling corpse at this point. Because I I just view that this community was to help you be creative, give your thoughts, and you get constructive feedback. But over time, it's now becoming more of this person did this. Let's yell at them, put them down for everything. We didn't do that stuff back then. And when I was active in the SCC and the alt CC. And now they're doing this stuff, bringing like people like Lyle Convoy into our community as some sort of enforcer of supposed morals that he probably got from a Saturday morning cartoon, in my opinion. And believe me, some of those morals in Saturday morning cartoons age like spoiled milk. And I just view that Lio, if Ephraim had a problem with what I said, Ephraim could have went to me. Ephraim could have did a commentary on me on what I said. You know, don't have to drag me into a call over this stuff. Which I view it's so stupid and asinine that I go in there with like 60 people on mute, have to answer questions in a yes or no fashion, can't even give my side of the story, and be berated by some person who don't even know me from a can of paint, in my opinion.
So you feel as if you cannot speak or commentate and conduct the type of content you wish to create for fear that these people will harass you, or fear of suppression?
More of the suppression and because I don't care if they do a commentary on me, because you know what? I'll take the constructive criticism over the stupid skits that they pull off, because believe me, some of those skits are cringeworthy in my opinion. But all in all, if they give me good constructive criticism, I'll take it. Like the one thing I took as criticism from the commentary community, and I'll be honest, is the way I should start lowering the music in my videos because it comes off too loud and you can't hear me that well. And sometimes you need the script. Even though I don't like scripting, I'll do script sometimes. Like there's this one commentary I did with co-op with somebody that I actually scripted it because I had to remember prices of certain consoles. It was a thing on the difference between the gaming and from Gen S from a Gen X perspective and a gaming from the millennial perspective. That's something I scripted, and I actually like doing that. But I also view that the SCC, they try to help people, but they're always infighting and stuff. And I've seen it dozens of times. I've witnessed how they treat people. What they did to Blaze the movie fan was beyond sickening in my eyes. And because I spoke up about it, I said my piece on matters. It's like I'm allowed to say my piece on it. I didn't agree with the vast majority, so they didn't like it.
Well, I know you gave them previously, in at least a little bit, Can you elaborate on your thoughts on the Senate?
My thoughts on the Senate. The Senate tries so hard to make YouTube so squeaky clean and friendly, and people look up to Lio as a role model because he has a lot of he's basically thinks of himself so squeaky clean, so clean he squeaks. From my perspective, I view it like this. For a person that squeaky clean, you must have washed a lot of dirt off you. Because in my opinion, you can't do this whole situation of policing every community. Because there's an old saying, I hate to use an Alan Moore reference, who watches the Watchmen after, in a sense. Because the thing is, Lio is not the absolute. Okay? I'm going to say it right there. I don't, there's some things I do give Lio credit for. His knowledge of Thundercats. I do give him credit for that. But trying to force people to do things his way, no. No, you don't do that. Don't say somebody who's friends with somebody who did something wrong that they're in the wrong unless they disavow them because what if one of these people you accuse lost all their friends and it was proven it was made up as a lie? What are you going to do then?
So you feel as if, so what I'm gathering, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm ever wrong here. You feel as if Lio's particular handling of certain situations and how he conducts himself is wrong.
Yes, because he goes with the philosophy. He thinks you can catch more flies with vinegar than you do with honey. Because the way he goes about insulting people and stuff. And look, I don't even I used to insult people, but over time when I got older, it's like sometimes you can't reach people with insulting. Sometimes you gotta sit back, actually hear from their point of view, and try to walk in their shoes in a sense. Like I could give a I can give a perfect example. Like I knew this my ex, for instance. My ex left me. I was pissed at it, yes, but I also looked at it through her eyes also. And yes, there was times I was in the wrong. I'm not saying I was perfect. It wasn't perfect either. It wasn't meant to be.
All right. So, do you think with everything that's happening currently, do you think they'll be able to take the criticism and learn? Do you think that with the Rosa situation, if you want to elaborate on it, or if you want me to explain it, I will. But with the Rosa situation and now this, do you think they'll be able to take it and learn and maybe improve? And if not, why?
I don't think they'll be able to improve with the Rosa situation unless, because in my opinion, Lio didn't take accountability. I view that he should take accountability and address it and how, because the way it portrays with things, it really makes the Senate look bad. And with my situation, I'm just going to be honest. Stop policing everybody's comments. Yes, I may comment on somebody you don't like, but at the same time, there's some videos I don't even agree with Gilded Poo about. Like,
I
I'm
agree.
very much, like, I don't agree with the Jax Films thing that much. I don't agree with some of his takes, but it doesn't mean I completely hate the guy. There's some things you can agree to disagree on. You're not going to agree with everything somebody's going to say. That's life in general.
You may not always agree with something that somebody does or usually
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
I understand. Is there any thoughts or important discussions you feel need to be addressed in the present, or do you think that this is sufficient enough, this interview.
If you want to bring up stuff in the future, you can always interview me. I don't mind doing that. I love doing that.
But is there anything that you feel the audience should... Is there anything you wish to leave with the audience that is watching this? Are there any closing thoughts or important discussions you feel that after this video is said and done, that you feel need to be addressed?
All right. Just because somebody comments on a person you don't like's video doesn't mean you agree with them 100%. You're allowed to comment on a video if it's someone you don't like or either like. That's what the comment section in YouTube's about. Leaving comment. My whole issue is with Doodle. Like, I know Doodle's been having health issues. Doodle, I'm gonna give you some good advice. I want you to take a rest. You've been doing so much, it affected your health a lot. You need to take some time off. Stop getting involved in things. Just relax, okay? Look, we may not agree on many things, Doodle, but one thing I will tell you, I don't want you to be even more debilitated by your recent operation. I'm not going to get into detail, Doodle. I want you to get some rest. You need to recover. Stop pushing your body so far to the point it's going to break down.
I agree that definitely, like, Doodles, if you are watching this, absolutely, 100%, you do way too much. You do so much for the community. You deserve rest. You've earned the rest. You've earned some time off. You've more than well and justified in taking that time off for your own mental health, but also for your physical health, it seems. If anyone present within this VC has any questions, you are free to ask them now. Otherwise, I would like to conclude this interview. Do any of you have questions?
When is the Glizzy review?
I don't know when the Glizzy review is.
Of course, you're going to ask that, Neil, but I do actually want to take the talking stick here because there are so many things that are like beneficial to the interview, like the worst commentaries of 2016 did, because there's not really enough concise context to the whole conversation between Dudotones and Cobra here. But I do want to bring up a couple of things prior to those start events. I did actually watch a snippet of the worst commentaries of 2016, and I do want to ask real quick, what was the video about?
It was about just a robot, and I said that the guy DanMad297 was given an ad hominem attack because he called him an idiot, and I'm like, that's an ad hominem attack. You just lost this whole commentary because you don't use ad hominem attacks because it defeats your argument.
And do you feel that way with Lyo within the recent events that occurred?
Oh, I believe Lyo does use ad hom because he thinks it makes him look good, but it defeats the argument completely because the ad hominem attack is basically you don't have any logical points to counteract my claims. Resorting to name calling shows that you already lost.
Okay, and considering the amount of of people being involved around the whole like Medicare scandal too. I also do want to ask real quick too with the whole like ad hominem bit. Um, with the recent events of 2016, how do you feel about the video now compared to 2016?
What video? The Medicare video?
The ad hominems over 9,000.
Oh, I feel like I don't stand by it because I even said I came off like a pretentious douchebag in there.
And
I
how's
will
that?
say,
Go ahead.
I'll say I don't stand by that video at all because the person I knew is a friend of mine who doesn't live that far from me, and it really showed like I was just nothing but a petty asshole.
Okay. And fuck, I was gonna ask. Oh yeah. And given the terrible like decisive decision of Computer Tones, putting that as a feature in 2016, have you ever conceived anything from that commentary, and have you learned anything from that?
Oh yes, I learned not to come off petty and spiteful. I learned more not to just act like such a pretentious douchebag and start looking at things from a different perspective.
And what perspective is that, if you don't mind?
Look at it through the person's eyes first, then look at it through your eyes, then look at it through the eyes of the viewer, and then come to your own conclusion.
Okay, that seems fair, actually. Um, there's also a bit that was also missed too throughout the interview here. No offense, but there's more like opinionated based questions more than there was personal questions, and I do want to fill those out pretty quickly because I am still basically working on the base commentary community wiki. Oh, by the way, sponsored. Doing a little bit of shit out there. But
And make sure to subscribe to Cobra Commander Commentaries. We do figure reviews, figure streams. We do the Order to 66. We have fun.
okay, but besides the shelling part, I do want to ask a little bit of history besides the whole Tone scandal. Um, and considering you have commented on Efron's political takes, how is that perspective like with Tones, considering that she did have a feud with Efron during 2016?
I think, personally, in my opinion, I think Doodle Tones is defending Ephraim because of Ephraim. He's good with some of his political analogies. I'll give him credit for that. But sometimes he gets things wrong. And when he gets things wrong, people will call him out on it. And instead of addressing it, he'll try to deflect, pivot, and stuff. And behind the scenes, Ephraim is a very informative person who knows what they're doing. But when they do a commentary, it just comes off so pretentious.
Okay, and that's within their personal value, or as a
Yeah,
virtue signal.
It comes off as a virtue signal, and Ephraim doesn't look at things from other perspectives. Like I always said, there's three sides to every story: the right side, one side, the other side, and the right side.
And what consistent right side is there?
The side that's telling the truth.
Okay,
That's what I mean.
that's fine. I was just wondering, but
Yeah.
with the placement of the whole alt CC, and technically the definition of the alt CC is just hiding like against it is a hate campaign against Toads. What was the decisive decision of doing that? for forming a community based on doodle tones?
It was the Medicare commentary, how badly she bombed over it, how she was basically saying it drove her to suicide, and how everybody just ragged on her, and she got all flippy over it.
And considering Medicare is basically known to be like the godfather of the commentary community too, do you think
And
doodle tones has ever? What?
I think that's the other reason why they all yelled at her, because you went after one of the founding forefathers of the commentary.
Okay, hold on. I do actually want to question this. Have you ever considered that doodle tones has ever grudge against something, like for example, rerunning the certain timeline of events to commentate on something? Do you think she is decisive throughout her commentary?
Yeah, I think she tries to spin a narrative. Because in
Okay.
commentary, you're supposed to point out the good parts and the bad parts. And most of these commentators, they only spewed out the bad parts. You have to look at the good parts also in the commentary.
I mean, compared to what is doodle tones right now versus 2016, there's not really a whole lot to investigate, considering doodle tones is basically known for her virtue signal, and this is my opinion. Like, once it comes to the fucking Neo Place commentary document thing, um, she's basically new to virtue signal a whole lot throughout that commentary, or at least I made a commentary on her and vaguely call her out for virtue signaling. But what is that compared to now, at least? A form related to an opinion that you live in, like grandstand to this day.
I do believe Doodle needs to start learning more of the stop the virtue signaling and try to look at all perspectives. Because if you don't look at all perspectives and completely virtue signaling, that signal is going to just blind your eyes to many things.
And of course, my final question, and I'll let somebody take the talking stick. Throughout this interview, um, do you believe that anybody within this listening to this or watching as a current, do you think that everybody within the commentary community, not just Doodle Towns, by the way, but do you think anybody can learn any kind of sort of perspective of what to do and what not to do in the commentary community?
All I'm going to say is for the future commentators out there, watch out for who you friend yourself in that community, because they will cast you out like a leper if you don't follow their rules.
Okay, that is it. I guess that just concludes everything. I'll let anybody talk as well if they want to, but I'm gonna mute myself for the rest of the interview.
Anybody else got questions?
I will say, as much, Doodle and I don't think we like each other anymore. And I don't have any hatred towards them. I don't think it's reciprocated. I think they dislike me these days. But I will say that Doodles usually does try to get both sides of the story from what I've seen, at least personally. I can't speak for years ago. I can only speak for 2021 and 2022 in particular. during that time she did at least. The only main question that I have, the only main concern I had was I heard at one point that she'd brought up suicide. Did that at least get handled properly in the community? Did people at least like treat her fairly during that time?
Some of her inner circle did, I'll be honest. But that's how it is. The alt, they on the other hand, it was like a 50-50 situation. I know Dylan Thomas personally wanted Doodle to commit anti-hero dozens of times, but I didn't stand by that because I don't believe in that. I think if they're dead, they can't learn. Like, I have something called humanity and empathy, and I don't think somebody should be taking their life over something on the internet.
And then my other thing, to the best of my recollection, you were the first one to really kind of leave the alt CC because you really enjoyed it at first, because I'm just going by what's historically out there and what you've told me. So you really enjoyed the idea of it. Everybody can just post what they want with no moral grandstanding, no being flaggots and any of that. Just talk about what you want to talk about. And when it turned into everybody essentially harassing Doodle Tones, if I recall, you were either the first person to leave or one of the first and to actually put the alt CC on blast for that. Am I correct in my recollection?
No, I was first. I was like the third person to leave, to be honest. I left because I viewed that a lot of the alt CC was starting to become just like the as we used to call them, the Neo CC, with the constant infighting and stuff. It just like, all I want is my own artistic creativity on my commentaries. Because it's my creativity. I view that my creativity on my channel was, when I was part of the SCC, it was basically being suppressed. And when the alt CC came, I'm like, I'm joining that because I want my own creative freedom on my content. And the alt CC, it was just infighting, and it's nothing productive was being happening. So I left and became just a wandering mercenary, in the sense of doing my own commentaries my way.
All right, well, if nobody else has any thoughts or any questions, I believe that this concludes the interview and any further questioning.
Alright, so I'm going to end the recording now then. Only question while it's still recording. Do you want a background? Do you want it like edited in Filmora with like a background, or do you just want the blank file?
Just the audio.
Oh, just the audio, like the audio file? I can convert that if you want, yeah.
Yeah, just whatever you've recorded thus far, that would be great. I think your audio file might be a bit more consistent, because at one point my phone decided to lock and it stopped recording.
Alright. Well, I'm head out then. Have a good day. In about half an hour-ish, you should get the recording.
Alright. Well, I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you all later. I am ending my recording of this